over in the farmer's yard, and there was one full bunch of sleep. I blew it right through it. One mud down there, went for a half mile after I got it. I think it was the new tires. You know, down Belleville Road, so I covered up good after the month. Nobody even know I could pass it off as a used one right now. Those just roll out. That's bad, so that's why I didn't say that.
Meeting to order. First order of business is roll call. We have a quorum, 18 present, 1 absent. Let's continue. Invocation will be led by District 16, Lois Good. If you do not want to stand for it, you do not have to. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Randy Taylor.
Dear Jesus, tonight we come to you with heavy burdens of so many issues. Quote, we are hard pressed on every side, yet not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. End quote. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. My daily devotional reading was entitled The Gift of Encouragement. The question was, who do you know who needs encouragement? Immediately I thought of our board. Quote, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding, and always acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. End quote. Proverbs 3:5-7. Dear Jesus, we beg your intercession with the Father to make a clear path for us by using his guidance and leadership in making all decisions. Please help us encourage, support, and unite with each other to find solutions. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Quote, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. End quote. Psalm 33:12. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of minutes for July 25th, 2023. We have a motion and a second. Is there any additions or corrections? If not, vote now. Passed by majority vote. 18 yes. public comment, limited to 5 minutes per person.
Good evening. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Judge Varna, also the program director for the drug court program. And on the agenda tonight is suspension of the drug court. I must say that I'm disappointed to see it on the agenda, and I'm exhausted by the overwhelming process through all of this. We were just here in July to approve the Department of Health and Human Services taking over supervision of the drug court coordinator. And at that time, the resolution prior to that in the personnel committee was changed. There were some other recommended changes that the HHS take over the administration, but problematic in that there wasn't an understanding about the ramifications of what would happen if certain things were done. And so we asked to have that left open to allow us all to work on that. So that was July, and here we are back here, hardly enough time to work on anything, but on the agenda is the suspension of the drug court with a closed session. I tried to really think hard about what would be the reason for suspending this treatment court. We have a grant-funded treatment court since 2014, over $120,000 a year that we have consistently been granted in competitive times, non-competitive times, by the Department of Justice. Last August, we had a program evaluation done that we had grant funding encouragement by the grantors to have that done in order to improve our program. That program evaluation was conducted my very first day on the bench. We had 7 out of 10 new members on the team at that time. But that program evaluation was done based on the prior 8 years, and we asked to have it done so we could improve. So now here we are, with looking at suspension, and I saw that it was for performance. So is it because of the evaluation? Again, we had that done to improve. The purpose was improve, not halt it. We haven't had time to improve. So, the only other reason I have an email that I'll hand out, because I don't know if the full county board did receive it, but the issue may be me, that there are some people who have some issues with myself, because I find out that the grantors were sent emails asking if I could be removed as the judge, if I could be removed as the program manager. I was not included in any of those conversations, but I bring up the emails and I did request to be a part of the closed session tonight, and I was denied that. So that, it's a viable issue based on that. The other issue may be just dislike for the program. Sometimes treatment courts are not popular programs. The questions come up as they did from administration to our team. What does it matter? These people are just going to prison anyway. I was asked by a personnel committee meeting, Annette, why do you care about this drug court? What do you want to be involved in it so badly for? Because it increases public safety, it addresses the 2 most serious issues in this county that we face that underlie the criminal crimes, and that is addiction and mental health. I gave a very lengthy presentation with my intern last month to show that we have saved over $4 million in jail bed stays. It costs $120 a day to keep somebody in jail. Out of home placement, we talked about that. So I just want to encourage you all, do not suspend this program. Let's work to fix whatever it is that the few members feel to need to be fixed. We need to communicate openly, not in closed session, without people there to defend the program, to defend the things that have been done, to defend what the evaluators have said. Incidentally, I did ask them to be here, the evaluators, on a plane to Paris, or she would have gladly been a part of this presentation to answer any questions, or if she would have been allowed. I think there is a lot of misconception. Any issues with the drug court can be fixed. They can be fixed if everyone just puts everything aside and we communicate to work on what's the best for the people involved. And you'll hear from graduates who have been successful and who have been helped by this program. And it's a great program, the community should be allowed to keep it, especially when there's very little levy money that is used for this. Thank you.
Gentlemen and ladies, thank you very much for hearing me tonight. I am Rich Duggar. I'm passing out a letter from Terry Newsberger, who couldn't be here tonight, wanted that letter passed out for you all to read. I'm the Rusk Restorative Youth Program Coordinator for Rusk County, and I've been filling in as the drug court coordinator, more or less, for the past several months. What I want to talk about tonight is a suspension of drug court is a fatal shot. It's not gonna recover from that. It's not gonna be reinstated again in 6 months. So what you're effectively considering tonight, you wanna kill it. And what you're talking about is people. You're talking about the participants. You're talking about their families. Are their families gonna be in foster care until they're adults, their children, or are they gonna be living with their parents? Are these people gonna have successful jobs going forward, or are they gonna be productive members of the community? Do we have challenges with these people? Sure, because they're suffering a disease, they're suffering addiction. Those diseases do not go away magically overnight by a shot in the arm. It takes time. If you look at cancer, if you look at heart disease, if you look at liver disease, those are lifestyle-related diseases. Everybody in this room has either had cancer, had a family member that's had cancer, or a close friend that has had cancer. And everybody knows that those are lifestyle-related diseases to a greater extent. There are a vast number of treatments that go to treat those particular diseases. Which one of those protocols, which one of those treatment protocols would you want to stop if it happens to be your family member? Would you take away that one opportunity for those individuals to be successful, to live a healthy, normal life going forward? Addiction is no different. It's a lifestyle-related disease. And anybody thinks that this happens because they want it to happen, you're sadly mistaken. And we do not. We finally have a team that has been in place for a considerable length of time now, going forward, and it's gelling as a team and being successful on their decisions and their consensus making. So what I urge you all tonight, and I'm gonna keep this brief, because there's other people who wanna speak, but what you should be considering tonight is not the suspension of drug court. You should be considering getting a full-time coordinator who can coordinate the court, the team, the treatment providers, and participants, all in one cohesive unit to see to it that those participants are successful in their travels through drug court. This don't happen overnight, but we definitely need that coordinator in place. So you're considering the wrong thing tonight. You shouldn't be considering suspension of drug court. You should be considering how quickly can we hire a coordinator, get that person in place, and get things on track as it should be. I'm gonna keep this brief. I wanna thank you very much for listening to me tonight, and I will turn it over to somebody else.
Oh, well, anybody on
Anybody.
it? Just, do you want me to go up there or just?
Mhm.
Yeah, over there. Okay. Hi, I'm Brittany Bennett. I graduated drug court about two or 3 years ago? Oh, a few years back. Anyway, I was a addict for 15. And, this program completely changed my life. I'm going on 5 years sober, October 3rd, and that's honestly the longest I've ever been sober. And without this program, I would have missed my kids growing up. I was looking at 25 years in prison. So that means like I literally would have missed everything. And they saw something in me that was worth saving, and I'm really glad they did, because I mean, now I'm here raising my own kids, and I do events for the community just to give back, and like me and the other drug court people like stay in close contact, and we still have that support system. And this was like I'm gonna be honest and say it was the best things that ever happened to me. So I really hope that people reconsider this and, I'm just one person, but you have completely, that program changed my life. And my kids have them on, I get to raise them now. So, thanks.
Anyone else?
My name is Joe Bay. I am working with a young man who I taught and coached and worked with in scouting, and now who is an adult who has a drug problem. I believe that the Rusk County Drug Court is a good thing for the county, for the people of the county. It works. It helps fulfill the purpose of government, and that is to help its citizens. Our drug court, like any part of government, has successes and some situations which need more time. I have been at the Wednesday morning sessions for several months. I have seen the successes and the situations which need more time. We as a county need to continue to support our fellow citizens, to help them and guide them to live drug-free. Keep our drug court, hire a drug court coordinator, and support our families and our fellow citizens who need our help. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gail Zana. I graduated drug court probably close to 9 or 10 years ago. I was in the first round. It was definitely trial and error, and I have seen the drug court program way surpass anything that I could ever imagine. We had a lot of bumps, but when I say it saved my life, it sounds like cliche, but it's not. Like the other ones, get to raise my kids. I have had a full-time job since. I get to do things that I wouldn't have gotten if I was still using and sorry, I have learned how to deal with things shortly into my drug experience. I had lost my positive support person. Another day that would have been downhill slide. I was able to have people help me through that, and it meant a lot to me that I have the support that I do now today. And if you guys take that away, that's other people that you're just condemning. And it's sad to even think that this is even an option at this point. So I hope you guys find it in your hearts to let people have a chance, let them actually experience the life that they could have instead of using every day and dealing with the things that they're dealing with. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ida Trexler. I was an addict for almost 20 years. I got accepted into drug court. I use the tools they give me to this day. I got full placement of all 3 of my kids. I work a full-time job as a nursing assistant. Drug court was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it's just awful that you guys even want to close it down, because if you can just help one person can help a million. So.
Hi, I'm Jamie Fausgraf, and I was lucky enough to be accepted into the Rusk County Drug Court. I was dying, and I met Mariah, Heather, I had some great people that cared enough for me and decided that I was worth it. And I started believing I was worth it. It was wonderful. I had the counseling I needed. I got a job. I got my license back. Got my kids back. I'm going on 5 years sober. Work a full-time job. I own a home. I take my kids to Disney World every year. I'm on no government assistance whatsoever. Fully support myself. I'm happy. My kids are happy. And it's because of this program. There's no way I could have done it alone. It's all the support it takes, all of those people to help, and they did. And I beg you to please, I was so lucky and fortunate to be in this program. It gave me a life. So I beg you please to reconsider and keep this program in place. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Ryan Raymond. I work for the Public Defender's Office, and I'm the regional attorney manager. I supervise 3 offices over 10 counties in this part of the state, including Rusk County. And I have worked on treatment courts for a number of years, including in Rusk County. I was on the treatment court team for a couple of years back. I believe in drug court because drug courts work. And if you look at national statistics and state statistics and your local statistics, it works. People who go through drug court, even if they don't graduate, have lower recidivism rates than those high-risk offenders, and drug courts for high-risk offenders, than those that just go to prison and come out. So we know it works, and the ladies behind me that have talked are living proof that in Rusk County it works. And I was frankly a little shocked to see the suspension on the agenda tonight, so I thought I'd come over and give you some reasons why I would urge you to not suspend drug court. I think the first is kind of an obvious one. It's the fiscal impact, right? We have a TAD grant, a funded grant that you don't have to match. I think the judge said $120,000 a year. Department of Justice runs that grant. Department of Justice is not, they're not soft on crime people. There's a reason they're administering that grant. Hundreds of thousands of dollars over years of free money to the county to help with the drug addiction problem. I think if you suspend drug court, that goes away. And if you change your mind in the future and ask for TAB grant funding, I don't suspect that the state, the Department of Justice is gonna be that friendly, that generous as they have been in supporting Rusk County Drug Court moving forward. So I think that's important to consider. Here's the other thing I'd ask you to really think about. Rusk County has had a methamphetamine problem for a long time. This part of the state has. And thank God we've been largely spared from the opioid epidemic. But that is changing. I don't think anybody from law enforcement is here, but they would confirm this. Fentanyl and heroin is moving into this part of the state. We're seeing the trends. And when fentanyl moves in, the reality is some people die. So addiction gets more dangerous. And what I see drug court as is a tool in your toolbox to combat the opioid epidemic. You have law enforcement, you have probation, you have other programs, DHS, but it's a tool in the toolbox. So I would suggest that now, with this opioid epidemic knocking on the door of this part of the state, is a bad time to suspend any tool in your toolbox. And that's exactly what drug court is. It sounds like there might be personnel or personality issues here, and I don't know all of the details of that. But what I can tell you from experience, and I have drug courts in 8 of the 10 counties I supervise, there's problems in every court. And there's personality problems in every court. And they're works in progress. There's no perfect model. But what I think is important to consider is that they're still worth working through for all of the reasons that I've talked about and others. And I predict in the next 3 to 5 years, as the TAD grant expands, almost every county in the state is going to have a drug court. And I don't think we want to be viewed as the county that is the one stepping back away from the trend that DOJ is advocating for, which is treatment courts. And so I would urge you to not suspend drug court at this time. And certainly don't do it quickly. Don't do it let's have an open discussion. If you have questions, let's bring in professionals from the Department of Justice or the Wisconsin Association of Treatment Court Professionals. I'm happy to facilitate that. Don't do it quickly. I think you need to have a long-term discussion, considering the opioid epidemic, about whether you really want to give up these funds coming in from the state at this time. So I urge you, with everything I have here tonight, to not suspend drug court at this time. It's a bad move. It saves lives, and it is 100% worth it. So that's my pitch for you today. So please don't suspend drug court. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? No one else who wants to speak, so let's go with public comment. Resolution of continuing appropriations of safety equipment.
So this resolution is to create a non-lapsing account specific for IT projects, like servers or, bigger projects that maybe happen once every, 3 to 10 years. The last server project, and Jim can correct me if I'm wrong, was done with one-time capital projects funds when we, back in 2018. 16. Okay. So that was one-time funds that we used to do that server project. The current server project that we're working on is utilizing ARPA funds. So we wanna have a long-term plan for the next server project upgrade, because we don't anticipate having one-time funds again to be able to pay for the next upgrade. So what this resolution is doing is just creating a continuing appropriations account where whatever amount is budgeted in the, account listed in here, which is like a capital outlay account, whatever is unused at the end of the year will roll into a non-lapsing account to be used, as deemed appropriate by the property committee, in the future for our larger projects. So we don't end up having to utilize, say, $300,000 of levy in 1 year. We can kind of build that balance up to kind of keep our levy ask consistent from year to year.
Any questions? It ain't showing up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say that this did pass through, finance, and, I think it's a wise idea to save up for a project rather than reacting to a project and not having the funds there and trying to come up with much money all at once. I think it's a really good idea to save for our future projects.
Any other comments?
Direct this, Jim, because you're probably the one that's gonna be able to answer it. Jim, how often do you have these large projects? I mean, where this stuff is outdated, or is it not an outdate that you're changing stuff, that it's actually something goes wrong with it, or is it more on outdate?
Most of it is outdate. So typically what we look at for like the big change that we're working on right now, the network and the servers and everything like that we've done for the last couple of days here, making substantial changes there, that we do about every 5 years. And it is a large chunk of money. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so what we're trying to do is get ahead of it a little bit to where we can build up a budget line, to have that ready instead of coming to you guys and saying, hey, I need $200,000, $300,000, whatever, every 5 years to do this. Excuse me. And then this way we would have it, and if there were other projects or other issues or other things we had to solve, then we would have that money ready. Again, we could go to property, and if property approves it, then we could use, you know, a little bit of that to, you know, change out whatever we need to do, or buy new computers for, you know, a certain department or anything like that. It kind of allows us to plan for the future, instead of, like you had said, you know, just reacting. Because you guys know, everyone's always coming and saying, hey, can we have money, can we have money, can we have money? This gives us, you know, an opportunity to plan for stuff. That way, if we know something's gonna be going down, we can look at what that budget will be and say, okay, we can take it out of here, instead of taking it away from maybe something else. But typically, to answer your question, typically it's for outdated stuff, but things break constantly. I mean, it turns. Yeah, it's usually just looking at those really big projects.
Any other questions or comments? If not, you can vote now. That's my majority vote, 17, no, for 1. Designation, American Rescue Plan Act funds to be used for internal Rusk County project number 3. Motion and a second. Motion and a second.
Want to take this one, Jim?
Sure. So kind of what we're looking at doing is, we are looking at, getting fiber in the internal, backbone of our servers here. And so part of that, we had looked at putting into the big server project that we're currently doing. There was a difference between, communication with the contractor, and they thought we only wanted them to run the, cabling, so there's a substantial difference cost-wise. And so I worked with Jamie to find a funding source, for us to come up with, the money to finish this project. And I always mispronounce it, so I always have Jamie say it, but it's for the Local Assistance, and Tribal Consistency Fund. But during the finance meeting, it was decided that maybe ARPA funds would be better for this one. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We've done both through property and finance, and they both approved it. We're just looking to go ahead and use ARPA funds instead.
Any questions? Snyder?
I just wanna know, when's the deadline on having to spend this money?
So
They have set that yet,
it
or?
has to be designated by the end of 2024,
Okay.
but spent by the end of 2026. So, you know, ideally, we would have most everything spent by the end of 2024, because if a project is going on and, you know, say we end up coming in $50,000 under budget, there's no time after 2026 to allocate that to another project.
I've heard a lot, I don't know which one to believe.
Yeah, and there is no timeline on the LATCAF funds, so that's why we made the recommendation of ARPA versus the LATCAF funds.
Mr. Kudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just curious, is there a projected, cost to get the fiber?
Yeah, the one we were looking at, is, we requested 42,000, it actually came in at 40,966.87. And that would be for 12 strands. And that would be from our, server closet or server room, up to every closet that has, switches in it. And so what that's gonna do is it'll essentially take us from a 1 gig, backbone to 10 gig, with potential to go up to 40, but that's way down the road. But what it'll do is, especially with all the IP cameras and everything like that, you know, and different things like that, your phones, everything that's switching over to more modern digital, that'll give us the bandwidth to associate with that, to not have problems.
Any other questions? If not, you can vote now. 18 yes, passed by majority vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I have an appointment of school representative on Rusk County Community Library Board, Kathy Flahuda.
Just a little information, Kathy Flahuda will replace Keely Anderson. Keely took a job out of state and had to resign from the board, so Keely is a media specialist here at the high school in Lady Smith, so that's school ready.
Any questions, comments? If not, you can vote now. Yes, passed by majority vote. Now we're going to close session. I need a motion and a second to go into closed session.
Read it first though.
Read it first? Yes. Okay. We'll entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Part 1, Paragraph for considered financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data or of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation or charges against specific persons except where there be applied, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in histories or data involved in such problems or investigations, in order for the government body to receive an update and hold discussion of follow-up activities to occur in response to the completion of a personnel investigation involving Rusk County Drug Court as to those items more appropriately discussed in closed session. In a second, closed session. Yes, we are now in order.
Okay, there's going to be no, discussion regarding number 5 at this meeting anymore. So we're gonna go into number 6, the next closed session. So Chair Rasak would read the next item on the agenda.
Entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to state stat 19.85, paragraph 1, to discuss the Wisconsin stat 893.80, notice of circumstances and claims of Karen Marie Swada, Karen G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning the strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Motion to go into closed session. Got a vote to go into closed session?
Just hang on. Okay, now we can, now I need a motion in a second. There you go. There you go. Now you can close. Sorry. Randy, you want?
18 yes, we are now in closed session.
Okay, we're currently in open session.
Somebody want to make a motion to?
Motion by Sousa.
But nobody said no out loud, so.
Now the 893.80 claim.
The what, 893?
893.80.
Claim.
Of Karen Swanner.
Mr. Schmidt? Second that?
Yep.
discussion? Not? Vote now.
It's almost like we're
18 yes, passed by majority vote. Okay, documents. Mr. Tater?
Yes, I'd just like to make the board aware, I think you're all aware that the county received a request for information from the Department of Administration regarding the old hospital and its use. And so I'd just like to let you know that that information has all been sent to the state. So thanks to Ashley and Connie and John Fitzel, they put a lot of information together. So it's all there, it's all in the states, the ball's in their court now.
Any other announcements?
I would just like to piggyback off of Randy. John Fitzel came in on a scheduled day off to pull all of this together. So on behalf of the board, I would like to thank him tomorrow for putting in that extra effort. If you're okay with that.
Yes, please.
Any other announcements? Mr. Disell?
I just wanna state, the fair ended a little over a week ago here. Very successful county fair this year. Participation was up all the way across the board, even with some ugly weather. I'd like to give a hand to our maintenance department. They did some awful beautiful work out there on the log building and some of the other stuff they cleaned up and fixed up this year. And the multi-purpose building and the concrete that was poured in there and how that was set up was a massive success. So thank you to this board, and I'm saying this as a fair board member.
Any other announcements?
The entire board is invited to join the ad hoc construction committee of a tour of the Barron County Jail, September 13th at 11 a.m.
Question, are we doing, how many cars, are we carpooling? What time do we have to get there?
Contact the clerk if you're interested. Or Ashley.
Yeah, I think we'll try to do some carpools, yes.
I will
Except Randy, you already lived halfway there.
Yeah, it makes sense to come here.
Yeah.
Any other announcements? Not a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Meeting on the 13th again?
All in favor of adjourn? All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.